Damn. So there is one drawback to having a sound system like I have. See these quads over here? Right there? And then I have quads over here. And you notice how they're 45 degrees away from me. So as the sound waves expand, they don't cancel each other out. They tend to magnify or amplify rather. And I can't tell you how many times something is said right here over my shoulder that is absolutely real. Where I literally turn around and go, huh? Or like, who's this kid saying I'm hungry? Or, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's, and this is what I found. I tried Dolby 11 channel, 7 channel, 5.1 channel. I've tried everything. And pretty much what I found is that the 5x1 with dual bass speakers of differing sizes, that's all you need. That's all you need. The mounts that I had up in the ceiling up here that had when I had the 11 channel, I had rears, upper rear, upper left, upper right, above, just all this weird shit that the amplifier was capable of doing. And so I went ahead and set it all up, and it was just a waste of money. It didn't sound any better, and this is actually using less power, and it sounds just as good. That's my recommendation to you, okay? Also, eARC. Um, my amplifier, it says, even if you're going to use an HDMI eARC return from your TV, or in my case, a projector, you still must have the optical audio cable connected. So now that you're just adding another cable, okay, and the quality of the sound from the optical out on my PlayStation, I can move shit on my walls. But when I try to use that exact same output on my Blu-ray player, you can barely hear people talk when the movie's going. Because that is how this projector is set up. I think it's a tragic fucking mistake. Tragic, okay? My Samsung used a digital out, the optical out. And it was always just amazing. And it uses a little box. I'm not sure if you guys have seen them, but it's a little multi-box that uses a proprietary cord from your TV, so they don't have to fill the back of it up with HDMI ports. The cord for me could have been a couple of feet longer, for sure. I thought the cord was too short. I thought having a proprietary cord makes it extremely difficult for people to say, if this ever goes out, my TV's fucked. Same thing with having no controls. Just like my projector and that TV, if your remote went out, you're fucked. You couldn't use any of the advanced features that had, like the thumb mouse and all that stuff that remote had. That's why those TVs were so special. You just rest your thumb on a certain spot and wave the remote around, and the mouse is moving on the screen. So you could type with it, and that's what this TV does right here. But look at all the reflections. You can see the light, the TV, all of that, and you see none of that over here on the projector. There are so many benefits to having a projector now that I couldn't go back to a TV no matter what, okay? Yes, they're a little costlier, but now I want you to see that they have one they're actually calling it an Xbox projector. Everybody's making deals with each other, you know what I mean? These guys, AWOL made a deal with Amazon to put Fire Sticks in the box. I would have made one with Roku, to tell you the truth, because I think it's a better product, and they're not trying to market your shit constantly. They're not trying to sell you stuff constantly. I don't want anything to do with anything that has to do with Amazon unless it's a must, okay? So 5x1, just get good quality speakers. Don't chintz out on your speakers. And they need at least a reasonable, say, 80 watts per channel is more than enough, I find, for most home stereo systems and most audio systems. I'm running 90 watts per channel out of mine, and that's more than enough. okay? Unless, again, I'm using the standard audio HDMI to unit sound from this AWOL Vision is just fucking garbage. It's the problem. Okay, so and the artifacts that I was experiencing, I'm seeing now that it only happens with my satellite box. And it doesn't matter if you're running 2.0, 1.4. It should have 2.1 in here, but it doesn't. You know, the USB port should be 3.0. I mean, it seems like they're backwards, and that always bothers me because what I see there is maybe they didn't have the money after putting the technology in this box that is in there, which is just scary, amazing, and good, okay? That they just tried to save money in the other places. I would like AWOL to know that, you know, I would have spent another $500 to upgrade all of that, to have the audio upgraded, to have the ports upgraded, everything. One more USB port, or supply a fucking switch with your $6,000 box. Just throw a switch in there so you eliminate everyone's problems with limited HDMI connectivity. It shouldn't happen nowadays, okay? Again, in 2016, I had 4 on my TV. Through my Samsung box, the Connect One box. And I actually had an influencer online tell me, well, I think you're a little special that most people just have a sound bar. I refute that. I fucking refute that. Okay, I don't think the majority of people have a sound bar. Most of us have a stereo anyway, don't we? Almost all of us have an audio system. We have a home theater system. That's what we've been selling for the last 15 damn years. Home theater systems. Okay, 5x1, 7x1. They just, you know, it's a, you know, multi-billion-dollar industry. Come on, we all have those. Okay. Which means we're going to be running our PlayStation, DVD player, satellite box, and Roku. That is a minimum of 4. And when an Xbox X Series X shows up at Best Buy that I can return if it's broken without a $150 restocking fee like Amazon, I'll need another port, which is why I've been experimenting with switches. Okay, another problem I found, it works with a single switch where it's either this one or this one. But when I try to put a 5-port or a 4-port on there that has eARC pass-through and all that, I can't get it to work. I don't know why. It should. Pretty damn simple. So, and we're talking about $70 switches here, not the $19.95 switches at Amazon, okay? This is a Pony Bro. What the hell was the name of that? I have to look this up. The most expensive switch that I found. Let me see. HDMI switch. So these are, God, they don't even say. Oh, Worky. They're working fine for 2 with 1 out. So the yeah, this one right here. This is the Avstar 8K 60 hertz 2.1 switch 4x1 4K 120 hertz 48 gigabyte HDCP 2.3 ARC VRR CEC HDMI switcher 4-in 1 out port. That's what it is. Remote 3D HDR Dolby 10 Atmos. Basically for PS5s, projectors, and everything else, but I couldn't get it to work on this TV, on this projector. Could not get it to work. And that was a pricey piece of kit. That one wasn't cheap. So I don't know. You know, why do you have old HDMI technology in your extremely fucking expensive projector. You see, I was anti-DLP because having a bright light, having a bright light there we go. Sorry. Having a bright light and a spinning color wheel worked okay. But having that hot white bulb striking, because I'm not sure if you know how DLP chips work. There's literally millions upon millions of little mirrors in there that are turning all the time. They're called MEMS. It's a little micro electronic machine mechanism, and it deflects the light, okay? And they're constantly moving. I had 3 Samsung DLP 3D 65-inch TVs. The base of them was like 2.5 feet thick. It was fucking thick. And then it kind of tapered up in the back, okay, to a shelf that was about 10 inches. And they really, really did look good. And there was no lag playing Gran Turismo at all. We loved those TVs. And they worked really, really good for 2 years. Actually, 18 months for the first one. And that's when we noticed our first dead pixel. A little white dot in the screen. And if you're just watching TV, normally you wouldn't see it. But as soon as it was a dark scene, your eye was immediately drawn to it. And once you knew it was there, you know what I mean? You're constantly looking. And then it was 2 dots, and then 3 dots, and then 10 dots, and then 20 dots, until pretty soon you're looking at a star field. And they all started failing rapidly. As soon as the first one went, they all started going. That told me one thing for sure, because it happened to all 3 TVs. There is a fucking DLP lifespan on those TVs. That chip had and has, okay, I think you can still buy those on Amazon because they were going out at such a rate. Okay, they have a lifespan. Now, the guarantee on the lasers is 20,000 hours. That's more than I'll ever use, for the rest of my life. But they don't give a lifetime guarantee on the chip itself, on the DLP chip. Okay, so you're asking people to take a chance on a product that isn't proven. This is new technology as far as I'm concerned. It hasn't been out long enough to see if there's a lifespan on those chips. But then I've always been an early adopter. If I'm looking for a technology that I think is going to be superior to everything else, regardless, because they all have problems. They all have defects. They all have issues, okay? Who has the superior technology? That's AWOL Vision. AWOL Vision has the superior technology. This tri-laser projector, as far as I'm concerned, is the only way to go. And the build quality is fucking awesome. I mean, it's a contradictory animal. You know what I mean? It's not as bad as 3 blind men in a room and an elephant, but it's just contradictory, where you see this cheap shit and having to make deals with Amazon and stuff, and it just makes me think about financial distress. He lost a bet with me for a fucking remote, and AWOL Vision has not sent me my fucking remote yet. They lost. They knew who I am. I'm probably one of the only people talking about the defective parts of this projector because it is so amazing. And when you turn it on and you compare it to other competitors and you're like, yeah, okay, AWOL. But that doesn't mean there aren't issues and problems, and I want you to know about those issues and problems so you're not surprised and you feel comfortable about buying the product, because I'm telling you, with those issues and problems, it's worth the money. Now, that's a fucking honest review. No one pays you to talk about the bad shit. Trust me, okay? No one ever rings my bell and says, hey, man, you want to represent us? Because everyone knows what I've been doing for 15 years, okay? Especially with our group. It's consumer advocacy. fix the fucking audio, update the technology in the box, not just the technology that makes the picture on the screen, okay, but update everything and make it smoother, make it better, hire some more people. See, when that doesn't happen, you either look for investors, which I think they could find, okay? Look for investors and make those changes now, okay, to have your future, okay, plus benefits show up earlier, okay? Your reputation and profit, okay, shows up a little earlier because you go ahead and have people come in that will help you operate the company in a fiduciary manner, where you're not struggling for money and making stupid fucking decisions about putting, semi-antiquated HDMI technology into your very expensive projector. It is one of the top end. It is one of the higher costs. If you go to Amazon, the AWOL 3500 is $5,499. That's what it is. But go to the AWOL website, because I think everyone doesn't need to get this big one. I bought this instead of getting another super bike. My old lady was very happy to have me fucking spend my money on this instead of being stupid out on a motorcycle again, okay? But you don't have to do that. You can go and get a much more reasonably priced projector with the same technology that's going to give you the same amazing picture. It just won't be as big a screen, and most people don't need that. 100 inches is fine for most people, okay? It's the color density and the way that the lasers can make colors that LEDs cannot make. Billions, not tens or hundreds of millions, billions of colors. But again, here I am. So I'm on my third switch. I have another HDMI switch that I'm going to try. And then I had a Canovo that worked everything worked fantastic with it. And I use that on my Samsung. That switch it's an auto switch. It's 7 years old switch. Everything worked fine. 3D, everything. Never had a single problem with it. That will be my last resort. And if it doesn't work with that, then I'll know that it doesn't like multi-switches per HDMI port. That if you plug something into that HDMI port, that the software maybe has a problem having 4 other options hanging out there, because it knows when I have something plugged in, even if it's off. Right now I pull up my HDMI ports, some will be gray and some will not be gray. Well, this one over here that's lit up, that's hooked up to a unit that's not turned on. And the Roku is in port 1. That's where their streaming stuff is. That's where they recommend you put the Fire Stick. They even made a compartment for it. Okay? I think that's fucking stupid. Or is that where the money came from? Is that where the seed money came from? Or is that where the financing is coming from? I never get a straight answer when I ask. Of course not. They don't like me. But I'll tell you right now, I could sell. You put me up against the slickest fucking salesman they have at a trade show, and I'll sell them under the fucking table. Because people will know exactly what they're buying when they talk to me. Not a facsimile, not a fucking brochure, okay? People would know exactly what they're buying when they talk to me, and they would have the confidence at that point to buy it knowing they're not getting bullshitted. They're having things being said where now you're having to make a choice. Oh, is that going to be okay for me? Of course it's going to be okay for you. I'm living with it. You can live with it because the benefit outweighs the negative, okay? Simple as that. That's how it is when you buy anything. The only thing that I can't guarantee is there a lifespan on the DLP chip? And I guess we're going to find out. If you have one that's 2 years old, I think they've been in business for 2 years. They've sold 20,000, Steve said. If they can get to 100,000 in a reasonably short period of time, the company will be healthy. But the way I see them selling it, the way I see the box set up with the audio the way it is, okay, eARC is not the do-all, be-all, and fucking say-all, okay, of audio. I have 5 things that I'm going to have hooked up. I have one eARC channel on my amplifier, and I have to decide, what am I going to run on that? What am I going to run that with? You know, am I going to run my PlayStation? Am I going to run my Blu-ray player? That's probably what I'm going to do, which is why I need a multiple 4-port auto switch or manual remote control switch. Because, you know, I'm going to have to sacrifice one channel for eARC just to run my Blu-ray player. So that's a negative. As far as I'm concerned, it's a fucking negative, because if I try to use the digital audio, the optical audio out rather, that I'm using now, that I used with my TV, that I'm using with this one back here, okay, it rocks the house. And when I use the digital on this, on the AWOL Vision, the 3500 is just fucking atrocious. But it works good with the PlayStation. It works good with the satellite dish, but it doesn't work with the Roku, and it doesn't work with the Blu-ray player. Now, why? Why would the digital audio not work with my Blu-ray player? Because the volume, I have to crank it up to 6, which literally means pictures would be bouncing on the wall listening to music, okay? That's the volume I have to turn it to hear anything. I have to run an optional cooling screen on my fucking amp, because that's how shitty the signal is coming out of that digital. But why is it different from my Blu-ray player and my Roku watching movies? If I go to Roku and I use the YouTube app, the volume is fine. I don't have to crank it up to 6, 10, whatever. I don't have to, you know, the louder the volume, the lower the number on mine. So that audio issue needs to be resolved, period. And I know it takes a lot of effort and time to go out and research all the Blu-ray players and make sure the compatibilities, you know, I know that it takes time, effort, and money. But in the long run, everyone's going to be happy using one single digital cable out, and then you eliminate all those other fucking problems. I get Dolby Digital through my optical cable. What can I say? It's, for me, if you want simplicity, so you got a sound bar. Okay, you got a fucking sound bar, and it's eARC. Let's think about it logically, just for 1 second, okay? You have one speaker, one sound bar, okay? You see this? That's my center speaker right there. Okay, this thing weighs 80 pounds. That is solid. That's just my center speaker. Why the fuck would I have a soundbar if I'm going to spend $6,000 on a projector? Who the fuck is thinking logically about that? One speaker? Oh, it's simulated Dolby. No, look, I have speakers surrounding me. I mean, this is, you can have an audio-visual experience, okay, it's not a soundbar. That's the cheap way to go, and I understand that. Some people want to use a soundbar, and in which case, maybe eARC is the best way for them to use it, but not for the majority of people that have a sound system at home. I mean, 5x1 is old. Okay, 7x1 is semi-old. Now it's 11x1. Dolby just keeps advancing. But why spend money putting a sound or a speaker system inside that box? All it needs is one small speaker to let you know the keynotes when you're switching buttons or whatever. Or when you turn it on, you might get a little da-da-da-da, whatever, right? I mean, that's why you don't need to spend money to try to get a simulated sound system in that box, because I'm never going to fucking use it. And these are the kind of logic choices that confuse me. This Xbox one that's coming out doesn't have a sound system in it. It's small. Can you imagine how much smaller they could have made this container, or how much better the airflow would be inside this casing if AWOL had not stuffed a amplified, speaker system in it? It would run cooler. It would be cheaper. You can spend that money on the shit that really matters, okay, about performance to people. This is why we have choice, ladies and gentlemen, because the projector I would produce would not be this projector, but it would be very similar to this projector. There are many things about this that are absolutely worthwhile, and compared to other projectors that have their issues and problems, you really, I mean, for me, it's the only choice, simply because of the way the colors are reproduced with the lasers. Red on this TV is red. Not kind of red. Red. Red like you've never seen on an LED television before. And everyone that sees it compliments, wow, that's red. Yeah, I can't see wasting the decision making tells me that they're trying to save money, okay? Send me my fucking remote. You lost your bet, okay? All of the issues and problems that I was having that I considered defects are not showing up on this one. And when I turn off my box, the TV that doesn't start freaking out, flashing a green screen with, because it still thinks it's in 3D or something, and it's showing the last frame of whatever it was it saw. And it would do that every time. I don't understand why they don't understand that there's something wrong there. Okay? When you turn the box on, everyone uses frame packing. Active. When they sell it, they call it an active 3D DLP. When you look at Amazon, active 3D DLP. When you buy AWOL Vision glasses, active DLP 3D. Okay, that's fucking frame packing. Frame packing. Not up and down, not left and right. So why, when I put it on 3D, does it go to up and down, and you make me start pushing buttons to fix software, okay, that should have already resolved that? Whatever I used last time, have it use that from now on. Let me set it to whatever I want. No, you have to go in every single solitary time and hit buttons because 3D was added to this projector. Well, it was added in a shitty fucking manner. Looks great. Okay, it looks great, but it switches eye phase on you all the time. Now it's just got all these weird quirks. But again, when you're watching the movie, when you jump through the hoops it wants you to jump through, it is a better experience than you're going to get elsewhere. That is the truth. Now, I've had other experiences with projectors that I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed. First off, they lied about the luminosity. They lied about the distance that the projector had to be to get a certain size, because I guess they read their lumens when they had the projectors jammed up against the wall and it was as bright as possible, because I've seen projectors in the $2,000 category that look like shit, okay? And the AWOL in the $2,000 category is just amazing. So they need to fix all these other little issues. They can compete on every level. They can. But they have to fix these issues that matter to people like me, the picky motherfucker, not the guy that's reviewing it because someone gave me a projector to review. I'm a guy who's putting his self out there saying, look, that's a lot of money for entertainment. And the way I justify this is probably keeping me alive, because when I'm on a motorcycle, I'm a fucking idiot. So, this was, for me, this was a choice that I had to make out of self-preservation. But I did research it for 2 solid years. And right up to the point where they got 3D, that's when I knew, okay, this is it. Because looking at other projector, I was like, that's just not going to be bright enough for me. That's, my room is set up. It's a gaming room. It's painted as a gaming room. It has light absorbing paint. Okay, that shit sucks up light big time. But They just, yeah, they were just bad. No, and the colors, I won't say washed out, but all of the, there are certain colors that are hard for LEDs to reproduce in a bright manner. Golds, oranges, purples, red even, because their LEDs are not a pure red. This one is. I mean, if you look at see, I know my phone doesn't do it any justice, but if you look at the mask and see how many shades of gold that is, and how deep and dark all the colors are. And I know the red doesn't show up because I've looked at it myself to see, does that red look like it does on the screen? No, it's not even close, okay? HDMI, switching problems, 3D software fixes, okay? And then figure out what the compatibility problem is with satellite boxes, even though I don't think they're going to go out of business. I think we might even see more satellite subscribers, okay? If they fix those issues, they would have the perfect box. They got to fix the audio and fix the HDMI problem. And then, the rest is all software. Get a better software engineer in there to design your interface and help you work on it, because I see this as the future. I've been saying that. I think TVs are on the way out. They're inefficient. They use more power. They are not really adaptable or usable. With this system, I can literally pick it up. Both components, the screen and the projector, I can literally pick it up and take it to another room in 15 minutes. Once you get the tilt this way on the projector correct, where it's sitting on bases that I've manufactured, right? I have vibration isolation pads underneath of it, and it's sitting on wood. So the little tit that sits on the wood actually makes, over time, seats itself quite well. And this allows you to rotate it and adjust everything, but at the same time, it doesn't move up and down. And now that I have mine set, I can move it anywhere I want, and it's close enough to watch. Or go project it on the side of a building, whatever. But the point is, you can't do it with a TV. And the ultra short throws, the 150 inch is only 13 inches from the front of the screen box. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty short, okay? That's pretty ultra short throw. All right, so AWOL, send me my fucking remote. You lost your bet. This box is not showing the same defects that I talked about that I guess you guys don't want to talk about. Because everything was, switch HDMI port, 1.4, 2.0, you're on the wrong, and I'm like, it's not my first radio. I know how to use the remote. There's not that many buttons. There's not that many buttons on this, okay? Have you ever been in the cockpit of an aircraft before? There's a few more buttons than that. Send me my remote, because otherwise I have to think you're in financial distress. That you guys cheaped out on all these components in your box because you had to. See? So borrow some money. Find an investor. Find one of these billionaires that doesn't have anything better to do with his money besides buy giant boats, and convince him that this is the future.